You know, what's really interesting about psychic work or dream work is that, we get shown things and we think we know what they mean. And then some time goes by and then we're like, oh, that's what it meant. And also, Spirit shows us what we need to know, what we can handle knowing, what is useful for us to know, and nothing more. So today I was dreaming, I was talking to my guides, and some of my ancestors showed up. And of course, I was asking the questions I always ask about the circus. What's going to happen with the circus? And today, one of the things that I was told was that, it's going to self-destruct. I mean, we've been hearing that for a while. It's in the process of self-destructing, right? And I was asking, okay, but how, when, give me a timeline, like, give me something to latch onto for hope, right? And they were showing once again the removal of the head clown. And they didn't go into the how, but just that he is the main act in the circus. And so they were showing me a circus, how you have like a 3-ring circus or however many rings, and in each ring in the circus there's a different act. So one ring might have elephants playing catch, and another ring has acrobats, and another ring has clowns. And they said, the head clown, the orange clown, is the main act in the circus. And so most of the people that come to the circus, the actual ticket buyers of the circus, have come for that main act, that kind of center act. And so when the center act leaves, it creates a problem for the circus. Like, what are people going to come watch? Like, yeah, the elephants are cute and the clowns are nice and the trapeze is interesting, but we need a big main act. And so they were talking about how things are going to go dark for a while after he's gone, in the same way that they went dark during that week that he was not well. And so that's because they have to go dark to kind of start talking and strategizing about, okay, what do we do next? And they were all talking about, okay, we got to bring in some new talent. Like, what new talent can we bring in? And they don't really have any new talent, so that's the problem. Like, yeah, they've got this this clown that wears a lot of eyeliner, but nobody really likes that clown. He's not a popular act. He's just kind of one of those clowns that's like, oh yeah, I know he's a part of the head clown's retinue, and that's just a part of that show, but no one's really paying attention to him. And so what they decide is that they have to replace this main act with some show that's so dramatic and kind of edge of your seat type of suspenseful dramatic that it will keep the, like, butts in the chairs. And so they're talking about like people who throw knives and people who swallow swords, and then they're talking about guns. Like, that's really exciting to have like some kind of shooting going on. And so these are people like Adolf Milkman, who's got a lot of dreams about World War II, and people like that. They start kind of weighing in on the conversation, and they're like, well, hey, I have a great idea for how we can create that kind of edge of your seat drama that will keep people really focused on the circus. And so we had this show that happened in the circus where they decided to, like, pow pow, have somebody with a pew pew and just like pow pow one of the main actors in the show. And it wasn't actually just a drama, it was real. And so people were like, they were all screaming when they realized it was real blood, and it was like a real, like, they thought it was a performance, but then no, it really did happen. And so then people are in shock and grief, and they're like coming back to the circus just to like trauma bond with other circus goers. And so this was like phase 1 of their plan. But the real point of phase 1 was to bring into place phase 2, which is what they think they need for after the head clown is gone, when they really need to capture the attention of everybody. And so they said, we need to take this show on the road. Like, we need to go out into the streets and do this same performance like over and over, except instead of shooting our own, we've got to find enemies, right? So remember, this is just a show. We're just talking about the circus. We're not talking about, anything that's real. And so they decide they're going to have this kind of like traveling circus. And they decide that they don't want to actually pay actors because, they're trying to save money. And so they decide we're going to go into like lots of different villages. And we're going to go into the villages where there are these kind of sad and angry young men who are like living in their mother's basements or just living in little apartments watching like, gaming all day. And they're like, these people, they really need entertainment. We're going to help these young men out. And so they decide they're going to go to these villages and kind of put up like placards, not what's it called, like circus posters. They're going to put them up all over and say, like calling on all you, young gamers. And then, of course, they're really, really, really focused on the people who were followers of the turning actor who got pew-pewed in the big act. And so that particular clown had a lot of fans. And so they're like, hey, they're all grieving, they're all upset, they're all angry. We can go and get those fans of the turning clown to, join our traveling circus. And so they're like, calling all wannabe henchmen. They form this new kind of group called the Henchmen. It's like the Turning Point Henchmen because it's named after the clown that, is no more. And so they start gathering up the henchmen and having these like big parties for them where they're, like playing music and yelling and rah, and they're doing like, manly stuff. And they give them like tiki torches, and then they decide to give them like a bunch of, pew-pews. Circus pew-pews. You pull the trigger and there's like a flag that comes out that says bang bang, and it's really funny. Except that what they realized is what really gets people to sit on the edge of their seat is when the circus pew-pew ends up actually working, because then it creates this unexpected drama with a lot of red paint, and people are just like transfixed. And so their plan is to send the TP henchmen out on tour so that they can have like little circuses all over the realm, and they're just going to go to lots of different villages, and they're going to go there and they're going to identify, for the sake of the story, the circus act has its own story, right? And the story inside the circus act is that there is some type of pollution or corruption or like enemy that has to be eliminated. And there's all this suspense and drama because people don't know, okay, who is that? Like they're going into a village and you're kind of like watching like, okay, where's the hidden enemy, right? And so this is the plan. And when the like circus administrators are talking about it, they're saying, this is going to be really effective because the people that the henchmen target, anyone who belongs to a group that's associated with the group that's been identified as the, enemy within, is going to be like kind of, low-key terrified. And the people who are not a part of that group, but who kind of see themselves, kind of identify with the henchmen, are going to be like really excited and like rooting for them, like, oh yeah, let's watch them destroy, right? And so there's a way in which this plan, this promotional plan for the traveling circus has the potential to be really effective because it can capture the attention of lots of different people at the same time. And so this is their plan, and they all think this is a great plan, and they're like, this is the plan that's going to go into effect as soon as the head clown leaves. Maybe beforehand, just like let's get it primed and ready to go. And so the crystal gazers were like, that doesn't sound good at all. What can we do? And they said, well, the one thing that's going to foil the plan of the traveling circus is unity. Unity. If people start coming together, especially like as neighborhoods or as communities, and just banding together and helping one another, it's not really going to be possible for the traveling circus to come to town and create some type of a us-them type of show. And the people aren't going to be really interested in the us-them show because they're not going to be able to relate to it because they're not going to be thinking in terms of us-them. Because people are going to be thinking in terms of neighbor, friend, colleague, we're all in this together. So, said the crystal gazers, your job is to form community. Your job is to focus on unity.